Wow, that's a big flame today. Oh, hello humans. Welcome back to the Library of Horror Hotel, all you art lovers and monster fans. Come on in. I would guess that the reason the Cthulhu candle is doing such a good job today, such a hot job of giving me a nice big enlightening flame, is probably because today's mask happens to be what? That's right. You're getting ahead of me. It's the mask of none other than Cthulhu. Yeah. Now, if he looks familiar, he should, because he knows you. There's no reason you shouldn't know him. But this particular version of Cthulhu, and there have been several over the years, okay, this particular one is a Ghoulish Productions release. I said a Ghoulish Ghoulish Productions release. Not sure which year this particular edition came out, but I can tell you that if you've been watching Creepy Cheapies since the old days, because you know I started doing these videos about masks back in 1939, and if you've been watching ever since then, you may notice that in the year 2013, yeah, 2013, which of course was 48 years ago. At that time, I did a review on Creepy Cheapies of the original edition of this mask, which was the same sculpture, the same basic design and molding and all that, except instead of being green, he was purple. Pale grayish purple, not a silly, goofy purple, but a nice, cold, octopus-like purple. And I always wondered at the time why that version wasn't available in green as Cthulhu, because you see the purple version that they started making way back when was called Monster of Rillier. That was the name of the city. Rillier was the city underwater, which Cthulhu formerly was the ruler and king and overseer, or at least that's what he tells me, of Rillier. And you can't find Rillier on the maps, but that's no surprise because, well, it's a city that's been underwater for thousands of years, and if you look at Google Maps and places like that, thanks to the legendary ineptitude of the United States Postal System, you can't even find Chatfield, which is a city that's been above the water for thousands of years. But anyway, Rillier, formerly the home of Cthulhu, and now, of course, his home can be with you if you have the mask. And Cthulhu and I are old friends. We go way back. We would go back even further, but there's a wall with a window right there, so we can't go back too much further. But yeah, we go back. One of the few friends I have who is in fact older than I am is the mighty and dread Cthulhu. And one of the things I like about this, and again, same sculpture as the purple Monster of Rillier from 2013, the more recent and still available green version, which is just called Cthulhu, has full round tentacles. And a little paper stuffed up in there, but I'm going to show you the back side so you can see how cool those tentacles are, because a lot of masks that have the Cthulhu-ish tendencies and have tentacles or things hanging down, a lot of the masks just make them as like half rounds because that's a lot easier to get out of a mold. But the problem with that is you can only look at it from the front to see those as real tentacles, and it gives it away that it's a sculpture or a mask or an artifice. It looks phony if you look at it from the side, but not this mask. They have it actually attached tentacles that are full round, and I think you can see little octopus suckers on the backs. How cool is that? On a scale of 1 to 11, pretty cool. Look at those nice eyes, and I didn't do anything to the paint. This is just a standard issue. He's got little yellow eyes that look kind of annoyed, kind of stern, kind of impatient. Yeah, a little impatient, a little tired of hearing about other monsters' problems, I would think, maybe, is what he's tired of. But what a great mask, and you can actually wear it. You can probably tell there are little eye cuts right there. You see where I'm doing that? Right there, little eye cuts. You might need to make them bigger if you were going to wear this for any length of time, like at a haunted forest or a haunted hayride or a haunted underwater city. And if you're going to do a haunted underwater event, you're probably going to need more to the costume than just the mask. But anyway, in addition to the mask, they also make, you'll love this, they now make Cthulhu hands. Also from Ghoulish, and show you what a good match those are. Hey kids, look at that. And as you can see, they have the little suckers on the fingers that match the ones on the tentacles right there. How cool is it that they make these? Now another thing about the hands, mask is about 60 bucks, hands are about 30. Another nice thing about the hands is that you could conceivably use them with a lot of other masks other than just as Cthulhu hands. Really any kind of underwater monster or sea creature or swamp monster or even a lot of space creatures, a lot of aliens would look great with these same hands. And the hands came along later. I don't believe they ever had them available in purple to go with the Monster of Relie version, just the green ones. And if you're wondering what you would wear with a Cthulhu mask, and you're not fortunate enough to already have a big green lumpy frog-looking body, well, Ghoulish has that covered too, although only sometimes. These seem to be hard to come by. I don't know why, but it seems like this is almost always back-ordered from all the websites. But it's a very cool costume if you can lay your tentacles on one. It's the Cthulhu costume. And if you can probably tell, it is green fabric, kind of cheap fabric, but you know, gets the job done. Green fabric, pale green, and these big flared sleeves like you think of with, oh, ghosts and monsters and such, the big flared sleeves, and then covered with layers of green gauze, which of course is darker than the light green fabric underneath. And hopefully you can tell this on your monitor, but the gauze is sort of laid on there in shreds and tatters, these sort of hanging, dangly strips. Do you see that? And a hood in the back. So you just put the robe on and you're already costumed because you've got these hanging strips going on. And then you just pull the hood up like so, and you've got the Cthulhu boy in the hood. Strangely enough, though, the costume comes with the Cthulhu mask, but not the hands. I guess they came out with the hands later and never got around to offering it as a three-part outfit, but it is available as the robe and the mask. But you're gonna have to buy the hands, or else wear green gloves, or else just not show your hands and pull your hands up inside the sleeves and do that kind of thing if you're at a haunted house or something. But I recommend the hands. My goodness, for 30 bucks, totally worth it for 30 bucks. Only thing I think I'd like to see different, there's just barely a little bit of color on there. I'd like to see a little more reddish pink on those suckers, or maybe a little more black in the centers, or maybe both. But that's just, you know, a little more deluxe. Again, they're 30 bucks, okay? And they're good to wear. Obviously, you just wear them like gloves. They're pretty good monster hands. If you can't find them, you might find some generic green monster hands that will work, because very few people know Cthulhu as well as I do and would recognize, hey, those are some other monster's hands you have there. No, you're going to be fine. But what a great mask. And how do we know it's from Ghoulish? Let me see if I can show you. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but he has the Ghoulish thing on the back. You're never going to be able to see it. Never mind, it's too small for that. But you can tell it's a Ghoulish. I don't think it has a year. Doesn't have a year, but the same guy that used to be the purple Monster of Relie is now the green Cthulhu. So that's your mask recommendation for the week. I thought this was worth pointing out, especially because of the costume and because I always wondered, why don't they just make it green and call it Cthulhu? And then they did. So very cool. And let's see, for parting thought, Cthulhu, do you have anything to say? Any words of wisdom I could leave the viewers with? What? Okay, sure. Cthulhu says to remember The okapi goes barefoot in the spring, but the raccoon goes barefoot in the summer.